I know a lot of you don't use sketchbooks, and that's absolutely fine, but it's a good idea. It's nice. It's a nice habit to form. So while we're waiting for the others, we'll just have a browse through, shall we? See where we've got to. Not in chronological order, but for those cherished participants who've been with us from the start, while we're waiting for the others to turn up, let's just see where we've been. The carrot.
Yes.
The imaginary landscape.
Yeah.
The hand.
Mm.
Hang on, let me keep admitting everybody.
I like the hand.
Yeah, the chilies.
Yeah.
Actually,
I like doing the chili.
yeah, chilies. Yeah, they always look quite striking, don't they? The chilies.
Yeah.
The proportions of a figure. One head fits 8 times into 7. Yeah, 8 including the head. A body is 8 heads high. Generally 3 for the body and 4 for the legs. Some quality streets at Christmas. Some marks. A little bit of playing around with rubbish.
I think that's pretty. Can we look at the lighthouse again? Do you mind? It just looks wonderful.
Doesn't that look nice? This is a little foray into acrylic paint. I just had some spare acrylic paint. I was painting something else. So I just put it down as a background, and it's a nice background to work on. It's a nice background to work on with watercolour as well, because it's got a grain to it. These brush marks leave a surface, which you know, throw up all kinds of possibilities. It's a nice thing to play with. So yeah,
use watercolours to paint over acrylics.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you should, but I did, and it seemed to work okay. This is one of those little white gel pens, but I think this surround is a little bit of watercolor.
It's the depth that makes it fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. See, that's the beauty of a sketchbook as well. This is where you know, I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have got a special sheet of paper out to play with that. I just grabbed my sketchbook, had a bit of spare paint, and did that and used it as a background. So I can't stress enough just how important it is to have a sketchbook going. It's a nice thing to do. Oh, hang on.
Morning.
Who's that?
Lynn.
Hello, Lynn. You all right?
Yes, thank you. I came last week.
Good. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Hang on. I've just clicked something. I've lost my waiting room and there's people in it.
Morning, Martin.
Morning, whoever that is.
Pauline.
Morning.
Pauline. Hello, Pauline. You all right?
Yes, good. Thanks. And you?
Good. Yeah. We're just having a little browse through the sketchbook to see where we've got. But so where were we? Hi,
Martin.
My measurements. Who's that?
Heidi.
Hey, Heidi. All right?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And Sheila. Good morning, Sheila.
Hello, dear.
Hello. Yeah, I was just saying, Heidi, I'm ready for a new sketchbook. I'm full.
Well, you have to come in then,
I'll
won't
have
you?
to come into Lunds of Ringwood. I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Hi, everyone.
Martin, what a lovely set of paints you've got there.
Oh, right, yeah. These are Heidi's Sennelier paints. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Yeah. So, yeah, sketchbook, I was just saying how important it is just to fill it, it's a playground, really. It's a good place to go and explore. So I've got my measurements for my kitchen worktop in here. Some other stuff. My mum's back garden. Oh yeah, the old shed. That's taken us back. I don't know if there are any cherished participants who can remember that. Good. That was when I used to print them out before we did them. Oh, there, the old pheasant. The pine cone.
Oh, love that.
Remember the pine cone and some leaves playing around.
Martin, you obviously use watercolour in your sketchbook.
Yeah.
What weight is your sketchbook to?
It doesn't have a weight. It's not a special. It's not a specific sketchbook specific for watercolour. It's just one of these. You see the Heidi stocks. These are just Fabriano. They're nice and heavy, so they can take a good wash of colour.
It doesn't have me like it at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't get hung up on the quality of the paper. You can paint in anything really. If it goes a little bit wrinkly, so be it. It doesn't really matter.
Oh, look at that one. That's lovely.
Right, messing around with some new colours just to see what they do. These are the granulating ones.
Have you tried your graduation?
Yeah. Oh, the fluid. Yeah, a bit disappointed with that, Sheila. Didn't really work very well. See, these are like these are the graduate. Those, oh, I don't know where they've gone now. Granulating colours are ones that break up into little.
Yeah, did you use the medium though?
I did use the medium, but it didn't really do very much.
Oh,
It's
didn't
not-
it?
You weren't
No.
doing it properly then.
I probably wouldn't do it properly.
Which colour were you using it with though?
What?
Because sometimes it works better with different colours.
Yeah,
Black, wasn't it?
I'm sure it does. Well, I think the theory is you should be able to throw it into any colour and it makes them granulate, but it didn't really. It looks a bit. I don't think if it makes. I don't know if it makes granulating colours even more granulated or not. But it wasn't. It didn't. I'll have another bash, but it wasn't bells and whistles. It was a revelation. But yeah, using those colours on a little landscape, look, you can start to do really nice stuff. Yeah. So the tree, we did the tree, we did the jug and the bowl,
That's
Yeah.
nice.
we did the poppy heads,
Mm.
the droplets and the eye.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, some more chilies.
Oh, lovely chili.
Those things, I did that twice actually. I did a warm up. So it's quite interesting to see how they differ really.
Mm.
It's two different plates, really. Just different approaches. Two colours completely different.
Mm.
A spoon. I think that was the first one we ever did, but it didn't go up onto my YouTube channel because I recorded all you lot watching instead of me demonstrating it. I didn't think that would be very entertaining to watch. 20 faces. Now again, trees again. I had a couple of runs at the tree.
I like that.
Yeah, that was nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. Some doodles. The
Oh,
white horse of
that's lovely.
Osmington. Another iron last week's.
Mm.
The tin can.
Oh, yeah.
And here we are, and I've only got a couple of pages left. So here we are, and we are going to have a look at, today, we're going to have a look at the,
Daffodil.
thank you. I knew that. What I need to do now is do that and do that. Right, the daffodil. So, really, I thought we'd keep the summer theme, so the springtime theme going, because it's nice to remind ourselves that there is life out there and there is hope and sunshine. So, yeah, I thought the daffodil is a nice symbol of better things to come. So what we have got, if we break this daffodil down, it's not a complex shape. This is far less tricky than some of the other things we've been attempting. But if we, let me just move that over there. If we have a look and break it down into its basic shapes, what have we got? Let's have a look. We have got the petals form a kind of dish around the outside. That is fundamentally the shape of the daff. This dish, this ellipse or flattened circle of, well, a circle being viewed sideways on, of the petals. If we look for other shapes, we've then got a cylinder, this little nozzle thing in the center, this central cone is a very simple shape. And then the stems are simple, cylinder itself down there. So when we start off, that is our foundation. That's our scaffolding for our drawing. So let's have a look and see what we can do. Let me just bring you in a little closer. So grab your pencils. I'm going to use this as my reference. I'm just going to, let's see, I'll work from that. You may have printed them off, but that's all I need. We don't need to go into the microscopic details. I might do it on this side. I'll leave that there. Right, let's go in with our disc shape. That's what we had there, isn't it? So these are just light lines, just to break down the subject matter into its components. I had a disc there. We've got the trumpet of the central piece pointing downwards. So I'd say, okay, it's got a front there. The central bit is in there. Really light shades. I could rub these out at a later date, but very often it's nice to let them remain and to show you how you built your drawing. These petals, there are 6 of them, and they're opposing. There's one opposite the other. So from that central point there, you could kind of put in some structural lines like so. And then finally you've got a stem there. So that is your basic structure. And that's all you really need to be able to develop your drawing. So now I think, okay, well, I know where everything's like. I might just briefly outline some of these petals. They don't have to stay inside this perimeter line exactly. They can, this one here, obviously this one on the left is larger than this one on the right because the one on the right is further away. So the one on the left is going to be bigger. So let's just flesh in those outlines like that. And that one. And now that I know that I've got everything where I want it, everything's in the right place, I can start to make a more definite line now. So I can make little observations like this petal being over the top of this petal. I'm going to mark that in. I'm going to say, okay, I know that now. And I know where everything is. So I can be more assertive with my marks. And I can start to put in my final lines. And I can include little observations like, there's a nick in that petal there. See? I can put in things like that because I know this line's in the right place, so I can concentrate more on the detail. And I don't have to worry about the placement. So I can start to flesh out my finished drawing now. Right. And so, yeah, just going to work around. And with drawing with watercolour especially, it's good to get the front elements in and then put the secondary elements behind. So now that I've got my structure in, I don't want to put my definite lines on these petals that are behind this trumpet and then realise, actually, I've got to rub those out because the trumpet's overlaying them. So I'm going to go in with this foreground trumpet here, and I'm going to make some marks in here because it's in front of everything else, and I'm going to draw everything else that's behind later. So this is an interesting line, this outline here. It's a big old wobbly thing that describes the nature of this petal. Is it still a petal? I suppose so. So I'm using different pressures on this pencil to create a nice undulating frilly edge to this, the centerpiece of this this daffodil. Okay, interesting. And then look at the way that tapers in. It comes in and forms this bell-shaped cone. And now that I've got this in, now I can start to put in my petals behind. Let's see. See, this one overlaps this one. And now that this is in the foreground, I can start here and know that I'm not going to interfere with this. get him in. Try and make the quality of this line interesting by varying the pressure on your pencil. Now I can see here that I've been slightly out with my calculations. My trumpet may be a little bit off center, but I can still change things. These are only basic structural lines. I can see now I'm going to move this line over here a little bit and lose it behind this trumpet. These petals on the outside, I'm making them a little bit lighter because I don't want them to be as striking and as obvious as some of the others. This one overlaps this one that's coming out at 9 o'clock. You can see that one through there. See, they're slightly translucent. That'd be a coup if you could manage to achieve that with your paint. Just nice and easy, following it with my eye and following it, trying to coordinate my hand with my eye. My eye's going around here, my hand's going around here. Okay, so what have we got? That's pretty much it. We've got a stem here, 2 straight lines going down there. The light, which is soft, is coming from the right, which means that the darker side of the shady side's on the left. There's a slight shadow being cast down here, but nothing to write home about. I will mark that in later on. So that is the basic structure that we're going to work to. There's a little central piece, the botanical name of which I don't know. It's a stamen or something in the middle. Let's just get him in. I'll make a bit of a feature of that. It's nice. And that's it. I'm going to lose some of these structural lines with the rubber because I don't want it to look too much like a lollipop. I'm not obsessing about it. I'm just removing the big ones, and I'm leaving some because it's nice to have evidence of how your drawing's been built, I think, anyway. And it gives it a bit of life. It gives it a bit of interest. So that's where I am. And now, where are we? Let's put a bit of colour in there. So I will change my pencil, swap my pencil for my paint pad pot tray set. I've got my water and I've got my brush. So you prop that up so it's not shining.
Martin?
Yes, Stephen?
Can I say this?
Yeah.
You know, I like using pen and ink as an outline.
Yes.
Well, the other day, I didn't think you could do this, but I managed to buy some coloured ink, which doesn't smudge. It's waterproof.
Wonderful.
I thought it was only black. So with a thing like daffodils, is it sensible to use a yellow pen ink?
I think that's a really exciting experiment. Yes, no, do it, Stephen. Most definitely.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, try it.
When you said it, I realised it sounds like a silly question, but it was sort of...
No, it's a good question. No, that'd look lovely. That would look really lovely. And don't stop at yellow either. Try all different colours. Yeah. Wonderful. And then throw the watercolour on top. Is that your plan?
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, I see what you mean. I didn't understand. Yes, I do. Yes, sorry. I thought we were saying something else.
Yeah, no, sounds good. So we have got tissue. And what's nice about this is our 2 yellows. You know, we were saying you've always got a cool yellow and a warm yellow. Here they are. We've got a cool lemon array of petals around the central warm yellow trumpet. Really nice opportunity to use those 2 yellows. So I'm going to mix up a puddle of my lemon yellow here. These are going to be my petals. And then I'm going to mix up some chromium yellow. Or is it cadmium yellow? I've got a bit of a block on that. So I've got my 2 yellows. Look, my daffodil yellow. This is probably a little more orange than this yellow.
Sorry, can you just tell me the two yellows again, Martin?
Lemon yellow and cadmium yellow.
Oh, thank you.
Quite all right.
I
I
wasn't
think
paying
is it cadmium or chromium? I think it's cadmium. Hang on.
cadmium, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, cadmium yellow and lemon yellow. Lemon yellow is your cool yellow. Cadmium yellow is your warm yellow. And they behave very differently, especially when you start mixing them with your cool red and your warm reds and your cool blues and your warm blues. That's when you start to discover that all your secondary colors, it's a vast field of experimentation. Primary colors are yellow, red, and blue. And from these primary colors, you can make all the secondary colors. And then there are secondary colors, and there are tertiary colors. But these secondary colors, the greens, the violets, and the oranges, are all how they appear, whether the greens are bright and vibrant or dull and olive-like, depend on whether you use the warm primaries or the cool primaries. But that's a whole new kettle of fish. We'll do that one day. Come on to the RT Improvers courses. That's where we'll explore all those developments. Anyway, I digress. So I have got a puddle of yellow, a puddle of lemon yellow, a puddle of cadmium yellow. And I've also got, these are weak washes. These are full strength pigments in here. So I'm going to go in with this weak wash. I'm going to leave some white space, and I'm squinting at this to see where the highlights are. I don't want to cover the whole thing in paint. Let's just get some color in like so. And use your brush to be gestural. Try and get some feeling into these brush strokes. So this is my lemon yellow. And I'm trying to see where the highlights are, and I'm maybe not going there because it's nice to keep some white space in a painting. I think a painting that's smothered in paint with no white areas becomes a little bit dull and claustrophobic. So there you see, I've just gone in there and I've dashed in some brush strokes, and then I can go in full strength. This is not in an attempt to get a few a variation in the tone. I've gone from my wash into my full strength pigment here, which is in the pan, in the tray. I'm just going to put a few little strokes of that in as well. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there is a slight difference between the full strength concentrated yellow and the yellow wash. Although not much, but yellow is probably not a good colour to experiment with pigment concentration on. All right, well, that's enough for me there. I know with my classes, we've been experimenting with splatting, and it's very often quite nice to just dash in with your brush and splat some dots on there. It activates the page. It's no big thing. Right, I'm going to go into the trumpet now. And again, I'm going to try and leave a few spaces. See, that is yellow, but it's not as orange yellow as this. So I'm going to put this down, then I'm going to revisit it with some more colour.
Martin, which yellow are you using?
This is now the warm yellow. You see, we've got a contrast. We've got the lemon yellow for the petals and the warm yellow for this interior trumpet. But also, it's not warm enough for me. So you know what? I'm just going to touch that red and add a little bit of red to that. And look, that's brought me up into this kind of orange zone. And now I can drop in, might even go a little redder. I can start to drop into this paint some of this red, and then all kinds of interesting things are starting to happen. I've drawn a few lines down there because, it is fluted. And also, as we rolls away from the light, this bottom side's darker than the top side. So I'm going to come in with this bottom side down here and get some red in there like that. Okay. There. Now, inside here, inside this trunk, but there's a kind of lit fringe around that edge, which I want to try and maintain. But I want to make in here a bit darker, so I'm going to go even redder, even darker. And maybe I don't need it too red, so maybe I'll come down to these maroon colours down here. It's experimenting with colour. It's all quite arbitrary. You can play with all kinds of colours to see what works. It's more important is to get the values right. So I'm coming in now and I'm putting in some darker areas here, just to try and make that disappear. This little central stamen or whatever it is, he's quite bright yellow, so let's just get a hint of colour on him there. Now, I think there's a green hue around these petals, around the base of here. I'm going to bring some green in now. Just going to get a little bit of green going, and hopefully I'm going to make my shadow slightly green. I'm using this green as a shadowed yellow area. I should have gone in here with my green earlier, because if I paint onto here while it's still wet, the edges will blend into the wet paint and soften down, which would have been nice. But as it is, I've left it a little bit too long, and now I'm able to paint these little striations, which actually looks quite nice. You know, I can paint a few small green lines on there, which look good actually. But then again, I want to make this dark. I want to make this central area darker, because if you squint at this and then look at this, you can see that in here, it's really quite dark. There's shadow right behind this trumpet. It's in shade. So let's try and get down to that level. I'm going with a slightly deeper green. And I'm not painting, I'm just touching it with my brush, charging in. Just dropping down little bits of paint like that. If that green's a bit too green and I want it to be more of a neutral grey, to neutralise this green, I need to add its complementary colour. And of course, it's green. The complementary colour of green is red. We know that. So if I add a bit of this, I come over here and add some of this red to this green. It takes it down to a, well, through brown, because I put too much red in there. So if I now add a bit more green, it'll take us down to a neutral colour. Still a little bit brown, which means it's still a little bit red. But that makes a much darker green, which is what I'm after. I can get a much more solid colour and again shadow. And again, I'm just dropping in, just placing the colour on there. I might want to put a shadow behind that leaf there. It's actually quite nice to put these shadows in. I want to soften that edge, of course. I just go in with a clean brush and soften it like that. Clean, wet brush. While I've got the green on the go, let's get this stem in. It's quite a pale green. But then it gets bluer and darker as it rolls round. Because that green, that's quite a yellow green, so it needs to be much bluer. So I'm just dashing in with some blue now. On the left, because the left's the shady side, and also the petals are casting a shadow here, so this needs, I need a shady bit at the top there. And as soon as I put a bit of shadow in there, that immediately throws these petals forward. Things are drying off in here, so I'm going to come in with a bit more orange. A bit more yellow as well. These are a bit red. I've got a droplet here. Look, this is starting to roll. So I'm going to dry my brush off and I'm just going to hold my brush end in there and it'll suck up all the droplets. I don't want droplets of liquid. It's a bit more yellow again. Let's try and make this a bit more interesting as well. It's looking a bit ordinary, and it certainly isn't. So, let's make things happen here. And also, this looks a bit flat. I think I could probably get a bit more of a turn around there. I'm working in orange, so to darken orange, again, we had the complementary color to orange, which is a kind of purple. Blues and purple will make orange darker. So let's see what I've got. I've got my old swatch card here. So this represents the colors in my palette. So if I want to make that orange darker, I need to add some purple. That's, if I start to throw that into my orange, that's going to make it immediately very dark. See, look, it makes a beautiful kind of maroon color, which I'm going to use to just darken that underside there. And also just start to define some of these edges. In here, I've got all kinds of colours, mixing and blending, but because everything's wet in there, I'm going to let them mix and blend for a while and see where they go. Right, in order to make this pop out a little bit, I'm going to give it a selective little few spots of a blue background. Blue, which is, you know, the kind of complementary colour to these oranges and these yellows, will really make this pop out. So let's have a look. Let's try and maybe make a puddle of this cerulean blue, a nice summery springtime cloudless sky colour. I'm just going to fly around because some of these areas I've left white, they need to be defined by the negative space outside them. So I'm going to paint around the outside of these white petals with this blue. So now I've got a wash of blue here, which is what I want. Also got a strong blue in there, which I'm going to return to. So I'm just going to suggest, I don't think I'd cover the whole page with blue. I just want to define those edges. And I don't want a hard edge on the outside, so I'm going to lose that hard edge by washing my brush, dabbing it dry, and then with clear water, just going around that edge. And see that edge disappears then. Actually, I quite like a sharp edge. It suggests a sky. That's a rather nice idea, isn't it? Just to suggest a sky. Let's try and do that. Let's suggest that this is a daff in a field on a spring morning. And we're going to suggest that by this hint of sky. Right, I'm going to lose a lot of the edges. Clean my brush, dry it off, just dab around there just to kind of lose it. Do I like that? I like that. Yeah. There you have it. Instant springtime sky there. put a cloud in here by just dabbing off with my tissue. There. Okay. I think I'm going to call that done. I can go back and fiddle. I could put in maybe, let's see, maybe go in and fiddle with, maybe do some edge, because I'm a bit uncomfortable with that white, V white divided by a line there. I can go in and I can put some more. Let's go back in with the lemon yellow and think, okay, let's make that a solid petal there.
You're not going to do the end of the trumpet then in blue at the bottom?
Well, I could, but I think that might be over egging it.
Yeah.
Would that be over egging it? I don't know.
Maybe.
No, let's try it. We're in a sketchbook. We can try anything we like, Stephen.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think what's very good about this is that if I was on my own, I couldn't tackle this, but you just do it step by step, and the shape, you make it all seem very easy.
well, I think if you break it down,
That's exactly what I'm trying to say, yeah.
there's nothing to be scared of, is there really?
No.
Oh, now look, I've hit that wet paint with my blue. But you know what? I like little accidents like that. Let's see where that takes us. I'm going to lose this edge around here, being really, really loose. Because, you know, it's little, you know, Bob Ross calls them happy accidents. That's lovely, that little bit of bloom there. I like it. And I'm just softening everything off. And I'm being so loose, I'm dashing it off. It'll just dry off, and it's a little road map of a half an hour spent one March morning painting a flower. This is a big difference between a photograph and a painting. A photograph is what? It's 500th of a second captured, you know, in a snapshot like that. And that's, you know, how much value are you going to get out of 500th of a second? Whereas this is 30 minutes of a little voyage of a paint and paper. I think it's far more rewarding to sit and look at a painting than it is to sit and look at a photograph. And you start to see more things in a painting as well. If you look and draw, you see far more than you do if you point and click. And on that bombshell, I think we'll call that done. That's going to dry, that's going to change and dry and alter. I might come back and I might fiddle, put a bit more colour in this trumpet, make it a bit more refined. But I think that's a nice sketch. I think that's a nice little hint. And I love the sky. I think the sky is, you know, a last minute decision just to try and make a blue background a little bit more representational. I think that looks okay. That looks okay. Okay, everybody, let me get back to you. Hang on one second. See if I can. Yeah, there you are. Whoop. I hope you've achieved something that you're relatively happy with. Yeah. Right, well, and in future, grab yourself a flower and do it from life. It's even more rewarding if you draw something that's actually there in front of you. It makes a big difference. Try it. Don't always refer to a photograph, because if you are painting from a photograph, you are actually copying a photograph. You're copying a two-dimensional surface onto another two-dimensional surface. Whereas if you're doing it from life, it's a whole new ball game. You'll enjoy it. Try it. All right, everybody. Nice to have you along. It's a pleasure, and I will see you next week.
See you Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll see you Wednesday. Yeah, and Tuesday, the rest of you. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.